Okay, so these two questions in particular were the worst two questions earlier as well. So this is something I'd like you to look at to make sure you understand what is the equation that best represents this graph right here. What is the name of that graph when it starts off slow and then takes off as we go? That's an exponential graph there. So if that's an exponential graph, you want the one with an exponential equation. That's 2 to the x. We graphed that before. We are struggling with that, but make sure we can handle it. So that leads us into the next question that we're bad at as well, which is also graphs. Are these inverses? Remember inverses, you take ordered pairs like 2, 3, and they become 3, 2. You just flop the two spots. So the easiest way for me to do this is look at this dot right here. That dot on that blue graph is at 2, negative 2. So if I were doing the inverse of 2, negative 2, Bradley, what would that be? Negative 2, 2, which means the vertex of the other parabola should be at negative 2, 2. It should be there. If that red dot was really the inverse, it would look there, and then the graph would look something like that instead of flip-flop like that. So just think, hey, if I took a point and I did flip them, would it match up? In that case, it would not. Are there any questions on the review? That was the one we missed a bunch. Is there any question as you were looking at that? You're like, man, I just don't understand number whatever that you'd like me to explain on the board and go through that? Any questions that you had that you're not good at that you want me to do? Number 1, we're pretty bad at for a question that we were really good at on the test, and I think it was just the multiple choice questions that are throwing us off here. Finding the inverse, 2 steps to finding an inverse always. The first step is flip x and y. Oh, let me write that again. We flipped x and y, and then we're going to solve for y. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And then we're going to get rid of the negative 4, and we do that by dividing by negative 4. That cancels. Most of us could get that answer right there, but you got to be able to write that as the multiple choice answer. So if I take x divided by negative 4, that would be negative 1/4 x. And then 12 divided by negative 4 would be negative 3. So you should have gotten B on that one, negative 1/4 x minus 3. That's not a good thing. Numbers 9 and 10 we've missed maybe a little bit more than we need to, so I'm going to look at 9 and 10 right now as you're going as well. Number 9, it has a log base 6, and we're finding the inverse. Remember, to find an inverse, we start off by flipping x and y. Once I've done that, I'm trying to get y by itself. So to get rid of a log base 6, I'm going to raise both sides to a power of 6, or a base of 6. And then to finish that, I'm going to subtract 7. The key to that is that 7 is not going to be in my exponent. It's just a regular minus 7. And so my final answer would be that thing right there. 6 to the x minus 7 is all equal to y. Number 10, same thing. Log base 3. I want to get rid of a log base. So I'm going to raise both sides to the third power. 3 squared gets you 9. Then I would divide by 4, divide by 4. X is 9/4. Any other questions as you're going through that you want me to show up on the board? 17? Yes. On number 17. So 4 to a power equals 1 over 16. It's an exponential problem. So if it's an exponential problem, we have 2 ways of solving it. We could take the log of both sides to get rid of the 4, or we could rewrite them with the same base. This is one that makes base rewriting be similar, or be the right way here. 4 to a power and then 1 over 16. It would be great if I could rewrite both sides to be 4 to some power. Okay, we know that 4 squared gets me 16. But I want it to be a fraction of 1 over 16. So not only do I need a 2 there, but I need a negative sign in order to give me the fraction. Then once I've done that, I've got a 4 on both sides that I could cancel. X equals negative 2. Yes, ma'am? Yeah, so we're not going to turn in both papers. We're going to turn in the bell work only. Okay, so the Quizizz paper, you can hold on to that. It's got a lot of questions worked out, and you know if you're right or wrong, so that would be a good review. You're going to turn in the other one, the half sheet. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Number 3. There we go. Number 3, it says solve 7 to the m equals 36. So in a perfect world, we could rewrite both sides and be like, hey, 7 squared gets you 36. Well, that's not true here. I can't rewrite both sides to be a base of 7. So if I can't do that, I want to get rid of the 7. And remember, the opposite of 7 to a power is taking the log of both sides. So when I see that 7 to the m, I'm going to say, all right, to get rid of that 7, I'm going to take the log base 7 on both sides. Log base 7 and 7 are going to cancel. And then log base 7 of 36, that's a calculator thing, where I'm going to type it into my calculator and see what I get. It's not going to be quite 3's too big because 7 cubed is really big. I'm guessing it's that one without typing it into my calculator, but you just got to type it into your calculator. We could do that real quick. Math button, log base 7 of 36. Yep, 1.8416. Yep, number 19. Is that the multiple graph one where you have like 4 different graphs? Yep. 19, so exponential. This is a vocabulary question. Do you know what exponential means? So exponential is a graph like 2 to the x. So if it's a graph like 2 to the x, remember that's what we graphed earlier? That looks like that. All right, so the one that looks like that is h. That green line is just a line. The blue line is a parabola. You pick k. Yeah, k is a log. K is a log base 2 question. So looks similar, but not quite the same. Any others that you want me to do before you leave? 25. 2 minutes, just normal time. Number 25, you're finding the inverse. Remember, if you're finding an inverse, all you're doing is flipping them. So 1, 4 becomes 4, 1. And 4, 6 becomes 6, 4. The rainbow question, remember Roy G. Biv? Yes. Yeah, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Biv? Yeah, there's 7 colors in the rainbow. It's because I threw the circle and it keeps flying around. It's like decoration.